and welcome back to this. It's the final one in a little mini-series that I have been doing over these videos and podcasts on our driver behaviours. And again, I like to do just a little bit of recap because some people might have just tuned into this final one and not actually know what the flipping heck I'm talking about. So, our driver behaviour, we have access to all 5 of these different behaviours that have been grouped together in transactional analysis, and each one has their own little variable, their own little uniquenesses about them. So we've looked at be perfect, we've looked at be strong, we've looked at hurry up, please others, and this is the final one, which is try hard. And try hard is an interesting one because we need to try really hard and that can be sometimes difficult. If you know somebody that as a try hard driver, they can be really creative people, but they foresee lots of issues around everything that can kind of keep them stuck. They can be quite playful, they can be rebellious, they like high stimulation. People with a try hard driver often don't finish what they start. They can be easily distracted. And it's kind of like trying to understand what that's all about. If somebody's trying really hard and in order to feel good about themselves or feel like they've achieved something, they need to try hard. So if you take, for example, maybe learning an instrument. I'm tone deaf, I don't understand music at all. My son plays in a brass band and can read music and can hear different tones. None of that makes any sense to me, but that's a different story. But if you're trying to learn an instrument and you pick it up for the first time and just holding that instrument feels a bit clumsy, and then you start, if we talk about a guitar, no idea how you play guitar, but you're learning about the chords and having to get your fingers to go in certain positions and, you know, how much pressure you use, and you can tell I don't play an instrument, all those sorts of things. So you're having to try really hard, you're having to concentrate. There might come a point once you've been doing this for a few weeks, a couple of months, whatever it is, that you just pick it up and you can play it. For some people, that's an achievement. For some people, that was the whole point of the exercise, was to pick up an instrument, to learn how to play it, and then I can actually enjoy the music and enjoy sitting, strumming, doing whatever it is. For somebody that's got a try hard driver, that's the time that they put the instrument down. That's the time that they don't enjoy the process anymore because they're not having to try. They've gone through the hard stuff. They've racked their brains. They've watched YouTube videos. They've read the books. They've watched people. They've learnt everything about it. So they're not having to try hard anymore. So what's the point? That, for some of us, that's like, what? Why would you do that? That makes no sense. You work really hard to get to achieve something that then you can enjoy, and you stop doing it. What's that about? But that's exactly the point. If they're not having to push themselves, if they're not having to try hard, then that's not, utilising their driver behaviour. That's not using the very being to give them momentum to do something else. So that's why often they don't finish things, because once it gets to a point where they understand it, it becomes easy, it's less taxing. It's not serving a purpose anymore, so they don't want to do it. So when it says that they're easily distracted, it's not really as much that they're easily distracted, but they move from one thing to another, to another, to another. So you might know, this might be you, but you might know somebody in your workplace that I don't know, is constantly moving areas. They're in IT person, so they need to learn a lot about, the programs that your company uses, and they learn all about that, but then they want to go more into the graphic design business, so they have to learn about how the graphic design part works. And then once they've done that, it's like, well, actually I want to be front of house, I want to start working with people, and they're just constantly moving from one place to another. That's probably their try hard driver behaviour coming into the fore. They can get frustrated and tend to struggle and feel like they've failed. They can also make a Chinese puzzle out of everything. If I'm going out, for example, and I need to catch a train and the timings of it and where I'm going to end up, I don't like travelling, so this is probably a really bad example. But I would, go on Google it and find out the train line and work out backwards, right, I need to set off at this time and I need to do that. And it would be quite a simple process for me. Somebody with a Try Hard Driver would foresee every problem. What if there's a delay? I need to set off earlier if I can't do it. And what if they put on a replacement bus service and then I end up at the other end of town, and how am I going to get there? And they just make everything very, very difficult in order to get it done. It's good in one respect because they do foresee problems. Somebody that's maybe got a hurry up driver doesn't actually think about all of that. They're just leaving it till the last minute. They get on the train, they're charging down the platform, jump on the train. It might even be the wrong train, but they're on a train. So somebody with a Try Hard Driver, you might find frustrating to be around, because what would be a simple exercise, what could be something that would be quite enjoyable, they would make it into a difficult process, a Chinese puzzle. They would be thinking of lots of what ifs. Well, what if that happens, and what if this happens? And they kind of can lose the enjoyment out of the actual process of doing something because they're looking at every eventuality. So that, as I said, that might be part of who you are, or you might be in a relationship with somebody. You might see that in a work colleague. And it's just about, again, just noticing what's going on for them, not reacting to it. As I said, we can't change other people's behaviour. We're all doing the best that we can with what we've got available in that moment. And our thoughts and feelings are all unique to us, and how we see the world around us, we can only see that through our eyes. But just notice the different ways that people react. The way that I often talk about this, if I'm doing any training or anything, is to look at a work meeting where you've got 5 people all in that work scenario, all in a different driver, and how that would be. So if I just run through that as the final part of this series, if you've got a work meeting with somebody in each of the individual drivers, somebody with a B strong would sort out everything themselves. They wouldn't collaborate with anybody. They would take on the role of doing all the slides, the presentation, sorting out, the timings of it. They would get it done. They would sort it all, go in, crack on, do the meeting, end of, that's it, it's done, finished, out the room. Somebody with a Be Perfect driver would have lots of handouts. There would be a wonderful presentation. They would probably email you prior to that meeting to let you know that the meeting was taking place, and it would all be done to perfection. The timings would be, an introduction for 5 minutes, and then there would be a presentation that would take 10 minutes, and they'd be constantly watching the clock, and everything would run very smoothly because it needs to be the very best. Somebody with a Please Others driver would probably need lots of encouragement and recognition throughout the process. They would be checking in with people whether this is what they actually thought the presentation would be about, if there was anything else that needed to be added. They would probably not stick to times. They maybe get sidetracked. If somebody asked a question, it would be really important for them to please that person, so they might actually go off-piste and change the actual direction of the meeting in order to make sure that this person was happy. So that's how they'd be in the meeting. Somebody with a hurry up driver would be in there at the last minute with papers flying everywhere and be maybe a little bit disarray or unorganised, and run through everything very quickly. The handouts might not be to the best standard. There might be spelling mistakes in them. They might not actually have them all completed or finished. There might be gaps in things. And yeah, it would, you could possibly feel very rushed around somebody with a hurry up driver in a meeting, and not, a 5-minute break. You've no sooner queued up for your coffee that they're calling you to go back in again, and you need to do it, and it might feel very, very stressful. And the final one, what's the final one? Try hard. Somebody with a try hard driver in a meeting would have aims and objectives and want to include everything that was remotely connected to the topic. They don't want to bother with any follow-up meetings on it, so they try to pack as much as they could into that one meeting so that everything was sorted. And then they'd be, wanting to move on to the next topic because they've already got that one done and dusted, and let's move on. So I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into how we are as human beings and how our driver behaviour can impact on us. And, if you are, it's difficult now because often we're not meeting people face to face. But I suppose even on a Zoom meeting, you could just be curious and look at, how people are. One of the things with the Be Perfect, which that was on the earlier video and the earlier podcast, is, they say that they care about their appearance and things like that. They're usually smartly dressed. Just people watch, be curious and see whether you can look at what driver behaviour people are in and what they're doing. It's really interesting watching the soaps. That's quite a good one to look at different behaviour types. Who's rushing around, who's not showing emotion very well, who's showing lots of emotion and making sure that everybody else is okay around them, and maybe a bit of a busybody and hurrying up or making things really, really difficult for everybody around them and themselves. So yeah, that's my task for you, is to just explore this and look inwardly as well, see if any of this resonates for you and what you do. As I said, we have access to all of these behaviour drivers. It's not that we just have one or two. We might prefer one or two of them, but we have access to all of these, and they will come out at certain times dependent on what we're going through and what our thoughts and feelings are about that particular event. So I shall be back with another podcast and another video very soon. I hope that's helped, or at least piqued your interest. If there's anything else that you want to know about, if there's any other topics or any questions that you've got, don't hesitate to ask me. You can find me, Jacci, at jaccijones.co.uk, and I shall speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.